Day one of Senior Bowl practice is in the books, and the Minnesota Vikings have a lot of really intriguing players to take a look at who had excellent days. Let's talk about it. The Senior Bowl is one of the best weeks of the year. It is an all-star game where players from all across the country come together and show their stuff in individualized drills and team drills to showcase their stuff for scouts and NFL draft media. And one of the interesting things about it is you get a lot of smaller school guys who come up and they will play against the guys who dominate the FBS and the SEC, Big Ten, and every other conference. One of the interesting things about how this thing is structured is you get to see them go one-on-one, and they focus on those one-on-ones a lot during practice. And the Minnesota Vikings need defensive tackle help, and there are some really interesting players. So let's talk about a couple of them. Deion Walker from Kentucky, over 6'7", 350 pounds. He is just a mammoth of a man, and he's got incredible movement skills for a player his size. You don't see a guy that big be able to move as gracefully and quickly as he does. The one interesting thing about him is because he's 6'7", he does not get very good leverage. So is that going to be a player that Flores covets? Historically, the New England Patriots have really liked to have a really big nose tackle in that style of defense. Think about the Vince Wilforks of the world, the Ted Washingtons back in the early days of the Tom Brady era. Those guys have been dominant in the middle. Well, they want to go with the guy like Walker, who could potentially be a player like that, but have 3-down utility, which is really important in today's National Football League. That could be an option at the end of round one or with the trade back. Another guy that could be an option is Ole Miss defensive tackle Walter Nolan. He is currently the second-ranked player on my personal big board, and he is an explosive pass rusher, 6'3", 293 pounds. He was the number one recruit in the 22 recruiting class, and he can get at you every single way. He's got power. He's got good length for a defensive tackle. He can get you with explosiveness, penetrating on the inside. He can even kick out to the edge. One of the interesting things about translating into the Brian Flores defense is Ole Miss asked him to slant and stunt a lot. If you think about slanting, instead of going straight, cutting at an angle, crossing face, going into a different gap. And stunts, we know how much Brian Flores likes to run stunts. And with the NASCAR package, they haven't had a guy who can be that penetrating defensive tackle. Nolan could take the Jihad Ward role and do it better and be able to get explosiveness on the outside. And that's something that could be really intriguing. A later option that could be really intriguing as well for the Vikings is Cam Jackson out of Florida. He's a little bit smaller than Deion Walker at 6'6" and 1/4 and nearly 350 pounds, but he has really good movement skills for a guy his size. And there's a little bit of pass rush juice, which is always good from a nose tackle. If you can get one of those guys and insert him and have him help elevate the level of the defensive line play, it'd be great. The defensive line was honestly really good in run defense. The Vikings were second last year in run defense, and they really stopped a lot of people from even being able to run the football. That was also one of the reasons why they were 28th in pass defense, because nobody could run the ball. And they were down a lot, especially early on in the season. So what do? Do you try and fortify that unit? I think you have to, because Jerry Tillery was on a one-year deal. He's a free agent. Jonathan Buller was on a one-year deal. He's a free agent, and he's in his mid-30s. You have to find a way to get youth at the position, get building blocks. They've done a great job of piecemealing and getting guys to fill holes, but they need to find ways to elevate, to take it to another level, to generate a little bit of pass rush. Jonathan Buller's pass rush win rate was 2%. He was getting pressure on just 2% of his pass rushes. That's not what they asked him to do. But if you can get a guy who can do both, that's how Brian Flores can take this defense to another level. I'm Tyler Forness with A to Z Sports. Skol Vikings.